Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another social production. That's why we're doing it. It's Friday, June the 12th, 2026. Thank you for joining me once again. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle down. If you've been with me for some time, Wagwans. Holding it down to everybody, wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's Toronto, whether it's all the way over there in Vancouver, my Vancouverites, my Vancouver Dykes, further down south in the beautiful United States of America, all 50 states further down south, the zesty, hot, the Latin, beautiful Mexicans, whichever term you prefer. Viva la raza, once more, and we're in Mexico, and then South America, of course, further the hot Latin lovers. A hop and a skip right over there to the cradle of civilization, where it all started, or maybe, who knows though, like Africa, probably, right? Still, it doesn't matter. And then over there, Europe, Asia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, over there in Serbia, in Italy, Wagwan. Glad to be with you guys and gals one more time. Shout out to the community, shout out to the culture, shout out to the straights, to my faggots out there, to my niggas out there, to my white niggas out there, to my brown niggas and yellow niggas and purple and blue, all and the many more that we're discovering, to all the niggas, the wagwans, putting it up, and also having the funs with the gang, all of us together. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day. We're out and about, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna discuss some topics. And we're gonna, we'll see where it takes us. Titillating, oozing, jizzing, squirting together. Let's begin from this one is, let's just begin from the top. Let's just begin from the top, all right? Hashtag free Carmelo Anthony. Hashtag free Carmelo Anthony. Injustice was just done. Clear self-defense, clear friggin', it's the system, it's the way it works. You don't know what it feels like to be you don't know what it feels like to be a nigga out there and that's you don't know that. You don't know that. You got to take everything into account. The knife was, according to Jasmine Crockett, was not even, and she's right. She and that may be a little bit. You may have heard those lines where somebody said, this isn't no knife, this isn't it. And that's, so Jasmine Crockett, bless her, it's got a little bit of, that's a little bit of Australian blood coming in. That's through the ether, she felt it. She saw the knife, she's like, that's not a knife. It broke out into an Australian accent. That's not a knife. I mean, it was a knife. But nonetheless, it's, what do you mean? I mean, what are we even talking about? This is Austin Metcalf versus Carmelo Anthony, the two teenagers, I believe 17 and 19, who got into it because of track and field. And this is going to take some time. Because what we're doing right now is we're practicing, we're doing it together. We have to practice cognitive dissonance together. This is how we learn. You got to have cognitive dissonance, having two opposing facts, or not facts, because one is a fact, the other one's not a fact. So two opposing ideas, technically speaking, in your mind, and then going with the one that feels wrong, because feeling wrong sometimes feels right. Cognitive dissonance is 101, brought to you by the likes of Jasmine Crockett and some other people out there as well. So this is what you got to do. In your gut feeling, what happened? These boys went to a track, and there was a track meet, I think. I'm not even sure if it was a track, but there was a track event happening. And these two boys happened to be in different schools. And then there was a tent, and then I think the weather was like, not so bueno. So Carmelo Anthony decides to go over to the opposing team's tent, I think, and the boys from that school weren't having it there. And then words got exchanged, and some along the lines of, I wasn't there, but I could only imagine. Again, probably like most things start off, are you or are you not a fan of Glad You Made It, is what they exchanged between themselves, all right? And I don't know who is and isn't between the two. Rest in peace. So obviously Austin Metcalf, we won't be able to find out. We won't be able to find out now. God damn it. But nonetheless, they got into it. And next thing you know, words were exchanged. Shoves may have been exchanged. I'm not quite sure. But then a knife came out, and in the hands of Carmelo Anthony has stabbed, I think, a beautiful young man in the body. I'm not sure where. In the heart, sucks. Doesn't matter. Killed him right there. So you have this, and the facts were provided, the events were told and retold, and he got 35 years. He got 35 years because he killed a fellow. He's essentially a murderer. That's what. So he got 35 years for murder. And people are like, how do we? But I want to engage in cognitive dissonance. I know in my heart of hearts, I know that this is wrong. This is murder. Doesn't matter. But how do I engage in cognitive dissonance? I'm glad you asked. Thank you. This is where you put aside all the facts. Again, like we started off in the beginning, you put aside all the facts. It's so fun. You put it aside. You're like, I just want to go with my gut feeling. I want to revert into some sort of like, lizard brain, just primal, just tribe mentality. I want to revert to that sort of thing because that's more fun. I want to be in a team. I want to have groupthink. Groupthink is fun, you'll say to yourself sometimes. And some people have done this. Some people have done that. Groupthink is fun. Groupthink is fun. All right, so you're like, all right, I know the facts, but how do I groupthink? You eliminate the facts or you put them aside. The facts are the facts, but it doesn't matter though. But then you start doing some sort of, it's fun. Try it. It's nice mental jujitsus. It's Krav Maga of the mind. It's, it's twisting things around and then repackaging it and then telling yourself that #free Carmelo Anthony. And that's how you do a little bit of cognitive dissonance. But it's fun. Try it out. I do feel like, I know this is, again, as a black man, I just felt like today I should come in here and just be like, not like, do I want to create a black superhero? Like, yes, maybe sometimes today is, low-key, the episode is ebony heavy. Today, the episode is ebony heavy. And I just, because it oozes through me sometimes. It just comes out. And I'm like, what would be a good superhero name for my black superhero? My nigga man or super nigga. No, that, I feel like that one's, not quite feeling that. Nigga man or fantastic nigga. And FN on the chest, like, black outfit and then white letters, FN, fantastic nigga. And yes, he can do many things. He can fly, he can twirl, he can dance, he can shoot the gat. The ladies love him. The men are, 50-50, but who cares about them? He's into the females anyway. So the females want to show super nigga, or no, fly nigga, no. Fantastic nigga, there you go. The bitches want to show him their titties. Fantastic nigga. He gets the titties and the men's are okay too. I don't have a catchphrase yet for him, but we'll figure it out. But nonetheless, I do feel like, be great. He fights crime. He's fantastic nigga. Dun, 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 pew, pew. Fighting crime, ladies and gentlemen. But it's fun to have a little bit of cognitive dissonance and just, because the truth is the truth. Sometimes you just gotta, have a little bit of fun. It's, you don't get a lot of times you don't get a chance to have prison mentality. You gotta like impose it on yourself. You gotta because that's the thing. If you get into the only times where it's like you have to, the rules are the rules. You get into prison, you gotta conduct yourself. I think from what I've never been, thank God, and I don't want to go ever, But if I believe, but many of us know it's race relations in the prisons. In the prison, you gotta go to your kind. You gotta blend in with your kind. You gotta go to your group. You gotta do group thing. You gotta sit with the same people as yourself or whatever that means. But then but that's prison. A lot of people don't get to experience that. You're like, how do I impose that? You do it through cognitive dissonance by imposing it on yourself. You're actually doing like it shows. This is actually great. This is fantastic. We've hit multiple, I think, birds with almost 0 stones here. You get to be racial, not racist, racial. Racist is a heavy term. I don't believe many people are. Sure, there are absolutely racists out there in the world, but people at times, every now and again, you get to be a little bit of racial, and this is where you get to be racial. You're like, I don't care. I'm gonna stick with me. I'm gonna rep my nigga just because he my nigga. I don't care what he did. He my nigga out there, and I can't say that because that's the thing. I don't care. Like if again, probably I'd only do it for like, you should only, cognitive dissonance at its, prison, it works great there. Because you gotta put the facts here, like my life is on the line. I don't care. Yeah, I might not align 100% with the Aryan Brotherhood right now, but life depends on it. So I'm gonna get a little swastika tatted on my ass cheeks. It doesn't matter. It's called cognitive dissonance and survival. But that doesn't happen too often in real life. So you gotta, get creative. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, it is, I don't even know what we're talking about. It's people are divided. It's don't get it twisted. This is just one of those division tactics to get you thinking racial and divide and conquer, whilst the elites gobble up land and fortunes, and the middle class erodes little by little, and until. But who cares about that stuff? Racial. Fantastic nigga to the rescue. What have you been talking about, ladies and gentlemen? I don't even know. It's Friday. We're having fun. Sip to the gang. LA mayoral race. Yeah, the thing is, I say let's if we're gonna spend a little bit of time. Hold on, before we get going, because this is how to avoid future instances like this, like the Carmelo Anthony and the Austin Metcalf. Get rid of track. Get rid of that's nobody should be doing track. Track you shouldn't be. It's running should be done on your spare time, 100 meters at most, and see if you can just best your time. That's the only form of running, and nobody should be doing track. Track is just too much. Get involved in an actual sport where it's there should be a ball or a stick. Something should be. That's where the problem starts from. And another way to mend it, I think, is just exposure to violence at an early age. Because if you know actual violence and like how vulnerable people are, you don't just go around, doing cray activity. You gotta expose. I think that's the thing. You should expose probably children to actual violence through visuals, of course, not them physically being involved. Just like see a fight up close. When you're a kid, see a fight up close, and maybe, I'm not sure if it'll help or not. Maybe it'll just maybe it'll desensitize people, but who knows? Nonetheless. I believe the true culprit is track and field. That's the true culprit, and yes, may justice be served. That's not a knife. This is a knife, mate. LA mayoral race. What is that? It's, of course, unpacking the term mayoral. It means may you be able to do oral, which mayoral. It's the permission or privilege or the act of doing oral. May I oral? You'll say mayoral. You may oral. You may oral. You may oral. You may go ahead and do oral. That's it. And that's, of course, if you want to do oral, I don't even think, should you ask? I suppose if it's like a new setting, you don't know, you're like, you enter a room, you're like, mayoral. I guess people don't, if you don't know people, you probably, it's introduce yourself, be like mayoral. But if you've been around and like, you're comfortable and all, I said just oral, don't, because that's neither here or there. It's a mayoral race. So people want to do mayoral things. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Spencer Pratt versus Karen Bass versus another bitch. I've never even heard of this bitch. What's her name? Nithya Ramen. Noodles and noodle ramen. Nithya, never heard of her. Is there, people are asking, I don't know. I'm asking myself because I'm watching from afar, from the outside. Has there been any election fraud? Have there been any, are Spencer Pratt's votes getting disappeared faster than NASA or nuclear program scientists? Maybe, maybe not. Allegedly, a few Spencer Pratt votes have been taken to the back and taken care of, so you shut your mouth and don't ask any more questions as to where these Spencer Pratt votes are right now, buried 6 feet under the ground, ladies and gentlemen. We took good care of them, not me personally, so we collectively, generally, I don't condone these sort of behaviors, but nonetheless, because people are recording videos of the homeless on Skid Row getting paid apparently, varying dollar amounts to go ahead and vote for Nithya Ramen or Karen Bass, and you feel bad for these people because it's like, first of all, they didn't get compensated that much, like $2, and that's fucking, that's, oh, wait a way to stoop so low to take advantage of the vulnerable, and at least put like $20 on the palm of their hand, make their week. The $2-3, $4 or $5 is just, and if you're gonna pay somebody out, like pay them, and even $20 is, again, I know you probably got to go around a lot of people and dispense money. It all adds up. Every dollar counts. But I'm just saying, like $5 was just a little bit too cheap for my taste. Because if you pay them more, you can get you can probably get a little bit of, like, if you do like 50, you probably could get a boat. You could probably get a little bit of head. You could probably get a handy. You'd probably definitely be able to, again, it's homeless. It's the homeless. For $50, you probably get a handy, a blowy, a sloppy toppy, maybe a cool story, a sit down, a cool story, spend half an hour. And I know it's, get your money's worth and make it, for yourself, make it worth it for yourself and them. It shouldn't just be this quick transact. Everything has become so transactional and so quick. It'd be like $2 for a boat. And it's like, spend the time, get a blowjob from a toothless meth head, get to know people. Grassroots shit, you know what I'm talking about. So people are asking, I'm wondering, because I'm not in LA. It's hard to, I don't know the demographic that well. I'm not immersed in it, so I don't have that, I know California from, looking out from the outside. It does, it's bluish. It's bluish. I don't even know. In the outskirts, I've heard in different parts of it, because it's, first of all, Cali is huge. LA, it's, again, leaning more towards liberals than, blue, but definitely they've got red in them as well. So I don't know, but given the times, given the experiences, given the things that people hear and say and do on the streets, on the internet, just, trying to make sense of it, I thought that maybe Spencer Pratt would have a chance, but again, I'm not in there. I don't know. Things seem a little bit odd, because mail-in votes, mail-in ballots, apparently the election was held on one day. The mail-in votes kept on coming in, and it didn't stop, and it mostly tends to be Democrat mail-in votes, which apparently are to the election process as Black people are to a party. Arriving late on time is not fun. You always arrive late, because in the beginning it's just like nothing's even popping off. You go in late, shit's already popped off. That's when the fun is happening. You don't want to fucking just go in there early, like half an hour, and be like, I'm prompt, I'm punctual. That's not fun. You always arrive late. The point is, it's friggin', Spencer Pratt, did he get robbed? Was there a violation? Is there fraud going on? Can we figure it out? Just asking, not even people, vote in, mail-in ballots, mail-in vote. I'm not even voting via mail. I want to find out instantly. I'm not even a big fan of, I'm not a, vote, don't vote, whatever. I think you want to know now. You want to know now. You want to know like immediately, like within a few hours. I don't think you should be able to count like many a days after. Personally, I say get rid of mail-in votes. Get rid of them. And because that's because it's 2026. I don't it's the fact that we have only male-in votes and no female-in vote. That's ridiculous. It's sexist. I don't stand for it. It's not responsible, and we got to nip it in the bud. Vote in person with an ID, or is there no better way? I'm not a voting expert or voting enthusiast or voting connoisseur. Some people like to take it far and become fucking voting perverts, but I'm not any of those. I'm aware of the voting process in terms of you gotta vote for things to get things, I think, and even that still many questions out there. Was there fraud? Fantastic nigga to the rescue. How will he find out there is crime and fraud in election fraud? Fantastic nigga will figure it out using nothing but his bare hands and his chiseled chest. Plural. He's got multiple chests. Fantastic nigga. That's what makes him so special. He's got plural chest assists. Earthquakes, ladies and gentlemen. I like to keep track of earthquakes, not that much, but whenever I do hear a bunch happening simultaneously or close to one another, or back to back, It does raise alarms in my mind. One, I ask, is it natural? Did it just happen by itself? Are we causing some earthquake somehow, somewhere? Because there was a couple, I think. There was one in Florida, there was one in Mexico. I think there was one in the Philippines where a giant, beautiful Filipino building just crumbled and then the ground shook. I think it was 7.8 magnitude. The one in Florida and Mexico was not as high, but again, it's just questions you ask. But the beautiful pro of having an earthquake, it's a great excuse. It is a great excuse. I know it's devastating in terms of, the damage it does, depending on the magnitude, but it is a great excuse. You want to get out of a situation. You want to not do child support. God, I wish you get an earthquake. If you want to avoid child support, or, because your baby mama or your baby daddy just be calling and they want that child support, and you're like, oh, I will get it to you right away, unless earthquake, I'm sorry, ring telephone, it's that time of month, it's child support time. You're like, I'm sorry, it's earthquake, I can't right now, there's an earthquake. And people will understand, as most often people will be just like, oh, deadbeat mom or deadbeat dad, they don't want to do their part, and that's, but unless you have an earthquake, that way people are completely understanding. You're like, oh, I gotta take my pregnant wife to this Lamaze class or whatever. But, a great way to get out of it is an earthquake. You have an earthquake, all of a sudden the technical breathing is not as important. My ass, right? Just, get in the back of the SUV and let's just skip town. Let's do that instead of this breathing class. It's a great, if you want to not, you're like, oh, I wish I could call in sick, but I've called in sick way too many times. If only there was a better way. Earthquakes, get an earthquake. You can just call in and be like, there's an earthquake, I won't be coming in today. And people are very understanding, which is nice. Other instances where you could, people are like, oh, we should get together and wrestle some, alligators. And it's a thing that you do on Saturday nights, and you don't want to let your friends down. And but it feels like an obligation. You're like, oh, every week we got to go wrestle alligators. If only I could get out of it. Next thing you know, fucking earthquake. Guys, I can't come this week. It's a freaking earthquake. That's a great excuse to get out of the alligator wrestling event with your friends. Food for thought. Who causes the earthquakes? Do they all happen naturally? May some of them be caused by all the different sort of, tests that we do concerning missiles and things blowing up either in the oceans or on the ground somewhere? Who knows? McDonald's, I believe, is introducing a AI drive-through experience. The AI's name is Archie. Apparently they're testing it out. I don't know if it's being implemented, like the touchscreen menus inside the McDonald's stores, and we'll see. But they probably test it out to see how it works. If it picks up, it picks up, and it's a thing. It becomes a thing. You do the trial run. If it works in one area, then you pop them up everywhere else. There's an AI, booth, or not a booth. It's an AI, screen that you drive through and you talk to it, but because traditionally you have a beautiful lady, typically, sometimes a lady, sometimes a male, the most, but we're going to potentially get rid of those experiences where you interact with the person, and there's this screen now that apparently knows you, which is that's the AI part coming in, that's the differentiating factor, whereas, you drive through with a beautiful chocolate skinned hoochie mama, she'll say, here you go, baby, and she'll call you baby like a beautiful chocolate sweetheart does, and you feel all sort of like tingly, and you get little goosebumps on your forearm, and you drive off, and you say to yourself, she called me baby, and that feels nice. That's good. I'm gonna eat this burger and feel good about myself, thank you. And or a beautiful vanilla, beautiful vanilla titted lady, she'll call you darling, and that's also just as soothing too. That's just beautiful. You get it back. She call you darling. You're on your way, and you're like, God, it feels good. She called me darling. That's nice, and you feel good about yourself. You say thank you, and so we're exchanging that for potentially an AI bot that knows you. Drive up to the AI drive-through, and apparently it knows, it calls you by your name. You're like, hey Greg, that's you, right, Greg? I don't know how it knows. You drive up, knows that it's you. Either, I don't know if it's picking up on your cell info. I don't know if it's doing some sort of facial recognition, some sort of, doing some sort of X-ray, seeing the outline of your cock, and be like, that's Greg's cock, because I'm AI. I know I saw it through the metal door. I can see that. Hey, Greg, nice for you to lean left, if you know what I mean, on the cack that is, Greg. That's you, right? You're like, God damn, yes, it is. AI, robot, Archie, at McDonald's, yes, it is, Greg. And starts telling you all sort of information about you because it remembers things from the past. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, Greg, remember you, how you walked out on your wife and kids? How was that? But don't worry about that too much. Don't worry about that too much. What are you getting today, Greg? And you're like, God damn it! Why do you got to bring this up? I got a new chick right beside me. This doesn't bode too well for me, Archie. Thank you for that additional information. How did you know that I walked out on my family and then left my wife and kids for this new broad? But thanks for bringing it up. I'll have the nugs and 2 medium cokes, please. So you never know. It's pros and cons. You drive up to the McDonald's drive-thru and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, it took you way longer to find, the good kind of porn last night, didn't it? It took you longer to find a nice porn video to finish off, longer than normal. What was up with that, Greg? What would you like for today? You're like, God damn it, Archie, it's too much, man. It's too much. How do you know that? I did take too long last night to find a proper video to beat off. It's God, you're God. God, you're God. What else do you know? Starts telling you should really start filing those taxes. Shut the fuck up, Archie. Shut the fuck up. You're saying way too much. So it's just, there's pros and cons. Again, beautiful set of tits, a little compliment, a little darling, a little sweetheart, a little baby over here, and versus Archie, who knows you way too well and is low-key kind of a narc. So we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. A Russian general just got blown up in Russia because of his kid. His kid is apparently, you can't escape this. Apparently it's empty. That's the thing. This is how it, like the tail, the snake eats its tail, I think, in terms of sometimes because tech is great. I love tech. I'm a big tech guy. Sometimes there's a downfall of having tech too, because this kid, apparently his dad's a general in Russia. And he posts a picture of his dad's car with his license plate, and his dad got blown up. And I'm not sure if he's alive, but his dad's dead. And that's something, because general is like, it takes a long time to get to like a general. He's had to put so much in. Doesn't matter, like, it's a lot, I don't even know the details of it. I don't know too much about army life, but it takes a long time to be a general. This guy fucking climbed his way through the ranks, like being, probably good at stuff, a lot of stuff, fucking general stuff, fucking, planning stuff. He's a general. He's good at many things probably. That's why they call him the general. They wouldn't be like, the specialist. He's a general. He's really good at conducting a lot of different things. It took him a long time to get there. Having to probably, watch out for food poisoning here and there from, fellow competitors. Watch out for doppelgangers who want to come in and dress up as you and be like, I'm the new Russian general. You're like, no, you're not, dude. No, you're not. And you get into a fist fight with them and somebody ends up being dead. Who knows? Who walked out alive? Was it the real one or was it the doppelganger? Nobody knows. But nonetheless, you work your way up. And you have a kid. And you're like, man, this kid's going to be growing up and maybe he'll follow in my footsteps. Or if he doesn't, I'll still support him in whatever he wants to do. And next thing you know, what's he doing? Taking a photo of your car, your license plate, and narking on your ass. The next thing you know, your BMW, your late 90s, early 2000s BMW is getting blown up, son, with some C4. I don't know what they use. Somebody blew them up. That's, it's, again, no, just be careful if you're like, but it's in terms of like, privacy for if you're like a general or just whatever, just people in general, like, because if you're there, I mean, he's probably got, something to be worried about because he's, again, high-ranking military fella. Most people shouldn't probably, post license plate numbers, but specifically him, I don't even know where I was going with that in terms of just it sucks for him. But I bet in the gladiator days they never had that if he was a general in the, and Glutus Maximus's time, I bet his son never, narked on him with like, if you had to go through a lot to narc on your parent back in the day. If you were a general's son, like in, gladiator days, you'd have to learn how to, talk to a pigeon or like write. You'd have to learn how to write, and it was extremely difficult. Then grab a pigeon, then like, attach it to the pigeon's thin little leg and then hope for it to go and deliver the message. And why would you even do that? It's just like, oh, I've got a sharing kind of nature within me. I just want to share information. Here's what I think of my dad's whereabouts today. Cuckoo! And then the pigeon flies off, and then word gets out little by little. You had to go through a lot. But now, moral of the story is to keep a close eye on your kids if you're like, in a high-ranking position in life in general. That's some, family members fucking narking on one another by accident. But we do have great news. Good news, but it could be better. I'm low-key disappointed in this one because Mamdani's giving a $15 million budget. Mayor of New York is giving a $15 million budget to the gender affirming cares. And I'm here to say that that's not enough. As you know out there, gender affirming care is important. There's $15 million is nowhere enough to cover all the costs of affirming the genders. I myself found out about this, and I'd like to see other programs similar to this break out even here in Toronto and Canada if we can get, because I feel like I could definitely use this right now. And I feel like many people could use it. I feel like I want to affirm my gender, and I think, again, $15 million, we got a whole lot of people. That need their gender affirming right now, all right? And by that, I mean, maybe, don't worry about how I'm gonna affirm my gender. It costs a lot of money. All right? It costs a lot of $2 to $3 million at least to affirm this, because I wanna, what do you want to be, fucking cheapskate and not affirm it properly and lose your gender? And I'm not changing mine either, because this is a whole spectrum of things. There's a whole spectrum. I'm staying within mine, but I'm affirming it. I'm just like putting it down, holding it down. I'm hunkering down. I'm affirming, because you don't know if you're not gonna hunker down, and you need money to hunker down and keep it down too. You gotta fucking, I'm gonna lasso this fucking gender. I'm gonna lasso and fucking, brand this gender. Right there, affirmed, but with there's a lot more to it than that. All right, this is an hour and 15 minutes tops podcast. I don't have all the time in the world to explain to you why I need $2-3 million to affirm this gender right here, and other people out there who might feel the same. And sometimes, again, it might even cost more. So $15 million right now, you could make bank and go and affirm your gender quickly, responsibly, and efficiently too. But again, I do know that it costs a lot of money. So however we got that 15 mil to be allocated for the gender affirmers out there, I think one, again, quit being cheap, raise it up because people need it, raise it up. Quit being a cheapskate, all right? And out there, if you're like, man, how do I make the banks? Fucking right there, dude. You gender affirm it tight, dude. I'm gonna be so male right now with $2-3 million of affirmative money, affirm it. Right there, you put a wad of cash on any table, gender affirmed. Do you know what I'm talking about? Just a wad of, $250 bills. Right there, whose gender is affirmed? This guy's gender is affirmed thrice. Male. Right there, gender affirming care. Get it? It's good. It's again, if you do want to, it goes out to everybody out there. So if you want to, because some people might want to get a different gender, and they should probably be taken care of too. But you should get a really good one. You should get a really good tit. Get a fancy, because it's 15 million. How many people are we talking about? You know what I mean? Get a really good tit job. Don't get one of these like flimsy tits that like fucking move on your back. How many of those we've seen? People fucking get a cheap boob job and it ends up on their back, and it's actually not too bad. If you're hitting it from the back now, it's like reverse tits, which is a good visual, but also it does take some getting used to, which I don't have times for that. You know what I'm talking about. So, let's reverse those tits, put it back in the front where it belongs, and we can get out of here like a couple of mature adults. But the point is that, or what if we just allocated all the money to one gender affirmer, one lucky gender affirmer who affirms the best gender, like instead, because you got to distribute the monies, right? What if we just gave 15 mil or 100 mil to one person who gender affirms for life and proper too, so we can all look at him and be like, fuck, that's gender affirming man or woman. What is that up in the sky? What is it? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's an extremely affirmed gender male. Affirmed. Get your money out there. Go get it. in the UK, a woman named Stefania Stefania Glackow. She murdered her mom. She's old herself, but she killed her older mom. She's old, but then she killed her even older mother. And she called the police. She strangled her, I think, with a belt on her. She finally had enough. She had enough. Then she she stabbed herself, I think, afterwards, because I don't know if she felt bad or if she stabbed herself I don't know why she I don't know, to be honest, but maybe she tried to, kill herself too. But what caught my attention is that she called the cops afterwards, and in a very calm fashion, she explained to the cops that she strangled her mother, and they brought her in, they're questioning her, and she's extremely calm. Just looks like I couldn't even imagine. She looked like a very, just like an older woman walking down the street, like your average everyday woman. But she killed her mother. And the reason was just apparently she couldn't care for her anymore. She couldn't care for her anymore. Didn't give me obviously murder is, obviously, murder bad, yes. But I'm looking at her, I'm if she didn't seem like a bad person, despite again, murder, obviously, horrible what she did. But I'm wondering if it was just maybe was it too much? If it was genuinely I'm not, again, just got to do time or whatever. But here's my little thing. If you want, I say that if you want to this is a little section. I'm gonna help out here by the way I can. How not to murder your parents or your loved ones or your family members. How not to. This should be a public service announcement section that we do actually. Brought to you by Fantastic Nigga. How to not murder your loved ones. And that's listen. We all probably, at one point or another, somebody does something, whether it's your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband, your aunt, or your uncle. You're I could just, You might not say it. You might not even say it out loud. Or you might be Nick, I told you to quit that shit. I'm going to kill you right now. You might say that shit if you're close, if you're really close. And if not, you just fucking do the motions, but on mute. You just say it internally. But you don't mean it. You don't mean it. Most people, you have these fantasies sometimes, or things that you think about. Because people do things, and people might think that about you as well, which is, again, normsies. But to act on it, again, that goes into cray city. To avoid all that, how to not kill your loved ones, take a walk. You don't need to take care of everybody all the time. You don't need to. If you got an elderly mom, all right, low-key, take a walk. Take her with you. Put her on a wheelchair. Let go of the wheelchair, dude. Let go of the wheelchair. I'm not saying in the middle of traffic or anything. In a parking lot, and just come back and check on her a few hours later. You know what I mean? And be where'd you go, mom? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be all this 24/7. I gotta watch out over you. Take the wheelchair. Just kind of scoot it. Just push it into a empty parking lot and come back within a few hours and be where'd you go, mom? And they're older. If they're in their 80s and 90s, just put them on a wheelchair, because it's just too. I get it. Sometimes it might be too much. Or, you can actually walk out. You can actually try that. You can actually walk. If it comes to worst case scenario, I just physically can't take care of this individual anymore. Doesn't matter whether it could be a baby, it could be a sibling, it could be somebody, whatever. It doesn't matter. A parent, an aunt, or a cousin, or a friend. At one point, you could just walk out. You could, if it's not the place you're living, you could just walk out. If they've got their own place, you could just walk out. If they don't have their place, walk them out, and just very polite, just walk them out, just walk them out. Easy go. The old people don't do this. People don't grab cartons of cigarettes. People don't go grab cartons of cigarettes and go for long walks. You could easily avoid that. You could easily avoid killing your loved ones by going and grabbing a carton of cigarettes and going for an extremely long walk. Way better than murder. Way better than, you're I have no place. They have no place. I have no place. I gotta leave, or I gotta kill them. It's leave, go for a walk. Get a carton of cigarettes. Enjoy your beautiful walk. Long walk. Things will work themselves out. Way better than murder. Way better than murder. You should do ample amounts of drugs. Worst case, ample amounts of drugs. There's so much you could do with drugs. And before murdering, so there's so much you could do with drugs. I'm not an advocate of going out there and just doing drugs all willy-nilly. But if you think I'm gonna kill this bitch, do an ample amount. Do a little bit of heroin. Just fucking lay low. Do a little bit of heroin, lay low. Give them a little bit of heroin too. They'll probably calm down as well, which is nice. I'm just saying, there's alternatives. Don't go, because she seems sweet. She's just kind of seemed, from the brief moment that I saw, seemed like a genuine older lady who was just maybe tired of taking care of her older mom, which again, fucking do a ton of drugs, do a ton of drugs, you know? Go to a strip club, have some fun. You don't need to do all your regular routines all day, every day. Have some fun, I'm telling you. You're welcome, I know. These ideas, you're like, oh, thank you, Rob. I was about to murder somebody in my family. You're welcome, you don't need to. You could do it, you could go for a long walk with a lot of cigarettes. I was just telling you right now, you're welcome. Depending on where you are, I wish we had this here. We don't. Like, with like, if you know, if you have something, if you have access to like a, fucking get them deported. Get them deported. You're like, oh, but they're born in the place. Get them deported somehow. Get them deported somehow. You know what I mean? 6 months of them just fucking stranded in the middle of nowhere. How did it happen? Who did this? No one knows. Get them deported. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we found, I think this is, again, I love this. I love that. I'm loving it. I'm growing to love it more. This is not something that I was into as a young man, or, it's something that I've been, coming. My beautiful whites, my white niggas love Bigfoot. Apparently there was a Bigfoot sighting in Ontario here in Canada. Apparently we had a Bigfoot, somebody or a couple of people apparently saw Bigfoot in the woods in Ontario. This is nothing gets me. I get happy when you're happy. I get happy when you're happy. When I see a beautiful white talking excitedly about Bigfoot, it's the twinkle in your eyes, the cute little smiles that you all, oh, it's beautiful. It is so bad. Is it realsies? I don't know. I'm opening myself up more and more to it now that I see the happiness that it brings you. Is it reals? I don't know. A giant could, of course, anything is possible. I want to believe, I don't, I believe there, given the vastness of everything, yes, there's probably, I lean towards the idea of, yes, there's probably some sort of extraterrestrial life, like many people do these days, like many people. I don't know in what form, how big or small, or how, are they more intelligent than us, less intelligent than us, who knows? So yeah, could there be a Bigfoot out there, just a bipedal form of man ape with, who knows? I don't know. Am I excited to see you excited about? Yes. Apparently they saw them in the woods, not like they didn't see them, but they heard some noises that may have been, I don't know what that's the thing. Nobody has the actual, bring some footages of these Bigfoots. I'd like to see them. I would like to see them. It would be fantastic to see some sort of, man/ape, apparently they're hairy. Apparently they smell a little bit, with earthy is what I've heard. They smell earthy, which probably smell like mushrooms, which is not bad. You get used to it, it's nice. Which is, they're musky. They got like a musky, is what I hear. Bigfoot, would they, would they engage in terms of if they see us, has anyone had sex with them is what I'm trying to get to. Has anyone had sex with Bigfoot? That's what I'm asking. If you're out there, you've had sex with Bigfoot, depict that. Somebody must have. If it's been around for some time. So apparently, some of it in Canada dates back to sightings going back to the 1600s or some shit. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I've not done that much research on this human experience. And I asked myself, I'm like, what is it? Could it be an actual entity, like a physical entity that people have seen? Or could it be some sort of, could it be an apparition of sorts? Could it be that there's a certain, and this is, it coincides with, UFO talk, it coincides with aliens, it's in the same sort of, parallel, or there's similarities. Are they actual appearances physically in the real world, or is it do some people, do select individuals in remote places that are, under certain settings, see things and hallucinate maybe things that maybe regular, maybe city folks don't get exposed to? I don't know. Is this some sort of hallucination that takes, is that what happens with aliens? Are there physical sightings allegedly, or is it hallucinations, or does it happen on, do they happen on scale? Does it happen in scale? Would you get a mass hallucination? Could you make that happen? Questions. If you've, again, slept with Bigfoot, please leave a comment. If you are pregnant with Bigfoot's baby, also leave a comment. What if they're big but they have tiny dicks? Maybe that's why they run away. Maybe why would the Bigfoot women then run away? Because they wouldn't have anything to be like. And we don't care, by the way, the Bigfoot community, by the way, I want to say, I'm opening up more and more to it. I want to say, I don't judge you. If you're a Bigfoot and you've got a tiny dick, I don't judge you. And their women shouldn't, if maybe they're too self-conscious because the females might think maybe they're too hairy, that their vagina is not visible. We don't care. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're not going to judge. We're not going to judge. We'll see how it goes, ladies and gents. Shouldn't it be called big feet? Big feet, because like Bigfoot is, or is it just, it is bipedal, so it should be called big feet, no? What do we call it, Bigfoot? Does it have one regular foot and then the other one's extremely big? That's why we call him Bigfoot? Lopsided foot, one wonky leg and then another like, really sturdy, girthy, that's why we call him Bigfoot? Should be big feet, no? Doesn't matter. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that apparently I was reading an article. I like to read different articles about different shit, just to see what's going on in and around the world, find out what's happening, what are people up to. Not only do I go out there on the streets and get a feel for it, but I also like to immerse myself in things that people do in different places. And I found out apparently this is taking over the world right now. Russian manicures are apparently taking over. People are getting them by the dozen. It's a whole procedure. It's the Russian manicures. Extremely popular amongst the female population right now, and only growing in popularity by the minute, by the second, by the millisecond. And they say every second there are thousands of women who are getting Russian manicures right now. So it's called e-files. Apparently they take this drill and they file down the top layer of your nails, and like they get rid of the point is they get rid of the cuticles, and that's what makes it really impressive. And I don't know what's called Russian. I'm assuming somebody Russian made it up or created it. Somebody files down your nails and your cuticle, and then they put this gel shit on top of it, which makes it like your nails were, but synthetic nails. Like, so you get rid of your actual nails, you file it down, you file down your cuticles, you get rid of the top layer of your nails, and then you spray some sort of gel, that's soft and then goes hard. And then you get a fake nail on top, and then you can decorate it. You do all sorts of, cute little drawings and, designs on it. You could get anything. You've seen them. They're everywhere. Apparently they're hot. Apparently people love them. Just from a man's perspective, I couldn't care less for it. I've never looked at any chick's fingers and be like, yay or nay. I've never made a decision for it. Like, am I going to go with this, beautiful lady based on her nails is like one of the, you could be nailless. You could be nail if, you know what I'm talking about. If it's, it doesn't matter for me at least. For me at least, it doesn't matter. I actually prefer like no, I personally, I'm not a fan of long nails or, just regular nails as long as they're clean. And to be honest, even cleanliness, let's again, if we're being totally honest with you, in the heat of the moment, all right? If it's about to go down, if she's got a dirty fingernail, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, a dirty finger. So this, I think, it's one of those things that females just do for themselves. I hope you do it for yourselves, because like I don't think the general male population cares. I can't imagine a guy looking at a girl and be like, everything's perfect about her except her non-made up nails. Oh, if she's got tits and a vagina. If only she took care of her nails and got a Russian manicure. I'm afraid it's a no for me. No, I can't do it. Sorry, you opted out of the Russian manicure, and that for me is a deal breaker. I don't think there'll be any guys saying that, but apparently someday you gotta be careful. Apparently sometimes the cuticle is just like shaved down too far down into I don't know what they do with the cuticle. They get rid of it, they shave it down, they scrape it off, and apparently it could lead to infections. So you could end up with fucking like infected fingers. So be careful out there. Be careful, especially if you're a lesbian too, because like then if you're not a lesbian, then maybe you don't insert your fingers and hands into any open orifices that are moist and damp and dark, aka the vag. But if you're a les and you get Russian manicures, then you're probably at high risk of getting infected fingernails. The next thing you know, your fingers can fall off and you could die because you're like, oh, I want to impress my lesbian lover. Where you were right, you did impress her for a few weeks, until you started to rot from the inside. So please be careful. Please be careful out there. Why do we always go long on the nails? Why don't we just go high on top of it? Why don't we build, because that's, build on top of it. Don't add length. Somebody should try that one. Just like thick nails, just outwards like this. We do go this way. We've seen the bitches that go long like cat, like claws and like talons, but go up instead. That'd be hot. That'd be extremely hot. Just fucking tall nails. That should be, I guess I just invented those. Canadian manicures. We go where we lack in length, we gain in height. Canadian manicures. C nails. C files. C files. That's what it's called. C for the C files. I believe there's a screwworm problem, an issue. I don't know what the fuck is up with these bugs. I remember being a kid, there was just regular bugs. There was you against the bugs, or like you in the world, and then the bugs lived in it too, and the thing was just avoid the bugs. Avoid the bugs. They're not fun. They're not fun. You don't want to get a mosquito in your eye. You don't want to get bitten by you don't want to get, stung by a bee. You don't want to, get a wasp in your twat. You don't want to, you don't want to invite a whole bunch of just stay away from bugs, typically speaking. I mean, if you're out in nature, camping, the countryside, different story. But nowadays, bugs these motherfuckers are they're coming out there with, fucking guns and fucking, knives and, rabies, and there's a screwworm now. The screwworm. A few years we've heard of it now. They've apparently made their way into maybe Texas, and I don't know. But apparently, not only are we having the screwworms are coming about, they're aggressive worms. They go in your open wounds and they buy property and start building houses and then bringing infection into the area. And they like to play it fast and loose. They like to just fucking stay up all night and and bring about a sense of chaos and nuisance and disturb the peace. And they like to invite more of their screwworm friends, and they like to drink tequila and shoot pistols in the air and do illegal underground gambling and maybe run a couple of opium dens inside an open wound, and eventually lead to death. And basically they eat your flesh. That's what they do. They have fun inside you, and they eat your flesh, and they attack the cows and animals and maybe humans too. So these are the bugs of today. Again, this isn't your 90s little ladybug that you just saw and it was harmless. It's a screwworm. All right, it screws around, likes to fuck around. That's what it's called, a screwworm. It's shaped like a screw. That's what they say. But apparently we're fighting them now we got to fight them with, we got to create factories that create flies so that we can actually fight the screwworms with flies that go out there. And I don't know how it's going to work, to be honest with you. I think they're infertile, so they go and mate with it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Now we got to get a factory. Now we got to have factories. Before it used to be you just had a spray and you kill a couple of bugs with a spray. Now we got to have a factory. Now we got to produce infertile flies to go and have sex with other flies and somehow impact the screwworms. I don't know what's going on, but apparently this is one of the methods that we're looking into. So it's a business. Now you're gonna have a business. Somebody opening up a factory, and it's not gonna be one of those because people used to be able to boast about their factories. Like you used to be an heiress or a tycoon, and it used to be fucking an heir to the the big fucking cornflakes, and that used to see a woman in her 30s or 40s be like, where's she? God, she's glistening. She's so shiny. She's so fancy. I wonder where her wealth comes from. And she's like, big TP. I'm big, toilet paper money. I'm from, I'm from the Charmaine family or whatever. But now this, you see somebody, it might be very they look fancy. I wonder where they got their money from. And it's a fly factory. Doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't get me, yeah, sure. They might be a billionaire, but that money came from, little tiny insects that are, it's not sexy is all I'm saying. Somebody out there must do it now, but that's not a turn on. It's not a turn on. That kind of money is not a turn on, and I don't care. I don't care what it provides. You're like, generational wealth, luxury yachts, a little private island that runs consensual sexscapes for adults. one of those. I'm not interested. Not interested. Fly factories? I don't think so. Dun, 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 dun. What have we been talking about, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. I heard about this. This shit needs to stop right now. Sword yoga. It needs to stop right now. We need to end it right now. Enough of the iterations of yoga. Yeah, everybody, it's too much. Too many people are doing yoga. It needs to stop. Too many people are doing way too many iterations of yoga. It should just be you, maybe sitting under a tree and putting your ass in your head. Yoga. Traditional, basic, minimal yoga. As soon as you start infusing things and bringing, the whole idea was to detach from things for a second or two, get your mind straight, and then go back and immerse yourself into the chaos of the world. Now you're bringing, we're gonna do laptop yoga. Bring your laptop. We're gonna hold the laptop in your right hand, do the tree, and then the curling serpent while you hold your laptop and search for, data online. It's metadata yoga. That's what they call it. You got to bring and then in addition to that, if it's not enough, you got to bring your cat to the cat/laptop yoga. Bring your cat and your laptop to the yoga session with one hand. Play games on your laptop, live stream, and pet your cat with the other while you balance yourself on your dick. It's called pet laptop yoga. Enough with the swords, because if you want to do, I'm a fan of swords. I get it. Swords are cool, but again, with the yoga, mixing, somebody's gonna get stabbed, dude. You know it. Somebody's gonna be looking at somebody's ass. Somebody's gonna get turned on. Somebody's gonna pounce on an ass. Somebody else is gonna actually accidentally stab somebody because they're like, oh, I should probably, now that we're engaging in the sexual activities, we should probably still hold the swords. And next thing you know, it turns into a whole sword fighting event. And that's not concerning two dicks going at it head to head. That's just somebody thinking it'd be cool to, hump while they have their sword on their body, and you missionary just stabbed somebody in the fucking tum-tum, and that's not fun. You just killed somebody. Because you're like, I'm gonna do sword yoga. Sit under a tree with a cigarette under your mouth, the way the traditional Buddhists did it, and relax for 15-20 minutes. Go have your lunch. And do not engage in the extracurriculars that just add to, tantric, tree planting. We're going to tree plant yoga session. You're not going to tree plant a yoga session. Just do the yoga. Just sit down for 5 seconds, close your eyes and pretend you yoga, and then just go tell people you yoga. You son of a bitch. Construction yoga. We're going to build a house today, and we're going to do construction yoga today. Everybody get your tool belts and start hammering away at construction yoga. Open heart surgery yoga today, everybody. Bring your patients. We're doing open heart surgery. Open up this body so I can dive deep right inside his tum-tum and do open heart surgery yoga. That's the only way I can actually shut my thoughts off when I'm doing open heart surgery yoga. Get it together, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is beautiful because I saw this. I've not purchased it yet myself. It's summertime. It's time to quench your thirst. I've not done it myself. Coors Light has just introduced a new drink. It's the same drink, but thrice as great. It's called the Taller Boy. For the World Cup, they're coming in and introducing it taller than the tall boy. It's the taller boy, taller than the tall boy, which is called the Taller Boy. It's thrice the size of a regular Coors Light. It's just a large cylindrical can of beer, which made me think, one, I've not drank in a really long time. I've not had a drink in really, no beer, nothing, and no glass of wine, no bottle of JD, nothing. Just So I thought to myself, and if you've been thinking about maybe getting yourself a drink, maybe get yourself a Coors Light Taller Boy. This podcast could be brought to you by a guy who could easily get into drinking beer again. I could fucks with that shit easily, and I'm tired of, because that's the thing. One of the reasons why I stopped. I didn't even stop. It just haven't had, didn't even occur to me that I should maybe grab a drink. But one of the deterrents was that I gotta grab single cans, and that's nobody wants to do that shit. You wanna grab one large long can, which is what it's sending messages. One, saying you're comfortable with your sexuality, and then the size of your cock. Anytime a man holds any sort of phallic shaped object longer than his cock, that's a confident man. So, and that's the problem with tiny regular cans, because you never know. When a guy's handling a regular can, you're like, how does he feel about his cock size? I feel good about it, but what does that say? Not much. Where you hold a longer can, people say, man, that guy's fucking comfortable. Or they see a lady conversely and think, man, that lady's probably good in the vag area in terms of her, she's okay with how tight she is. She doesn't care that some of her labia is like not perfectly symmetrical, and one of the maybe the left labia hangs a little slightly lower than the right one. She doesn't care because she's holding a taller boy can of Coors Light beer, and she's gonna have fun this summer. And that's the type of message that the taller boy can send. Whereas again, you grab a couple of regular cans, you drink it in a couple of seconds, and next thing, what are you, like a bozo? You got to go out and grab another can. How many times have you missed out on life opportunities because you're like, can somebody get me another can? There was nobody to get you another can. You had to go get yourself another can, and guess what? Fucking somebody else picked up the chick. Fucking somebody else got the promotion. Somebody else went on the yacht. Somebody else did that. Where are you? Running, getting a stupid can. Avoid all of that. Attend your child's birthday party. Why? Because you have enough time. Because you saved a ton of time by grabbing one large can instead of going into the kitchen multiple times, having to run back and forth, and you missed your son's birthday or graduation, far worse, or your anniversary. Your anniversary. How many times have you forgotten what you were doing in the midst of grabbing the different cans? And you're like, oh fuck, I know something that I should have taken care of something today. If only I could remember. With all these trips back and forth to the kitchen, who could potentially remember what else they need to take care of? Oh, that's right. And then you see her disappointed face as she walks upstairs, and guess what? You're not getting any sexuals tonight. Why? Because you forgot your anniversary. Because you had to remember to go back to the kitchen back and forth and grab multiple cans, whereas one taller boy can would have given you thrice as much of the drink and compared to the regular can. So go ahead and grab yourself one. And again, this podcast is completely open to sponsorships from Coors Light or any other alcoholic beverages. But in case the Coors Light thing happens, then fuck all the other beverages. They're for cucks. Unless the Coors Light thing never happens, then I want to say your product is probably poisonous. But if it comes through, then I want to say that all the other ones are the poison. The true beer drinkers drink Coors Light. Unless this doesn't happen and it's not a thing and you guys back out of a deal, then don't ever drink taller boys. They're disgusting, and you're probably going to drink yourself into alcoholism and leave your family members and probably go down south and get some sort of fucking, you're going to get the clap. And good medicine's hard to find down there because you start drinking the taller boys. That's the sort of story you're going to hear if this podcast doesn't get sponsored by Coors Light taller boys. Unless it does, then the only way to avoid an STD is by drinking taller boys. Thrice as much as beer. Thrice as much as no clap. The only anti-clap beer in the world. Coors taller boys. Drink responsibly or not. Fuck it, just drink. Coors Light. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say I'm surprised. I can't say that we didn't see this coming. In China, a martial arts performing commie Chinese robot kicked a Chinese boy, a beautiful young man, in the tum-tum. And some people laughed, some people were shocked, some people were like, whoa, what's going on? This communist robot built in China by the CCP kicked this boy in the solar plex because this is what communist robots do. They want to break down the individual. They want to as the robot kicked the young man in the tum-tum. The underlying message with that kick was that you are like everybody else. Just stay in your place, conform, groupthink. You know what I mean? Just follow like everybody else. Be a communist. This is what the communist robot did to this Chinese young man, and that you could see the sense of individuality just breaking within him at an early age. And he's like, maybe I do want to be like everybody else. He said that to him after taking that hit from this communist robot to the sternum. It's like, I no longer believe in individualism. He said that because he got kicked by this communist robot. Maybe it's good to just fall in line. Maybe it's just good to follow the same old forever and ever, and never have any sort of, different ideologies or thoughts or even dreams. I'm gonna just stay communist. He said that because he got kicked by a Chinese communist robot. Whereas in the West, here in the United States, our robots don't do that. Our robots are taking care of our children. They not only not kick them, they encourage them to go out there and chase their dreams and believe in a dream and chase capitalism and the notion of entrepreneurship and opening up a business and taking care of yourself, family, and community at large. Robots that attend to our babies tend to be very, supportive of the young children. They listen they do more than just they can throw kicks and do martial arts, but they don't need to. They sit there, they listen, and they fill in the gaps where if there's a baby with no parents, it's an orphan baby. Oh, a sad orphan baby. Nobody likes to see that. Nobody does see that, because now we have not Chinese robot, like American-made robots that they're filled with capitalism inside them, and they take care of these babies, the homeless orphan babies, and they raise them, and these babies go out to be extremely well-balanced, normal human beings who take care of themselves and give back to their family and community at large, because that's what our robots do. Unlike their counterparts in commie CCP, where they're just kicking youngins down and breaking them down until there's nothing left in that baby. Oh, look at our babies thriving, surfboarding, jet skiing, driving a yacht, driving an airplane, building rockets, going to the moon, circling the moon, squaring the circle, circling the square. You know what to do with the moon, and this doesn't matter what the shape of the moon is. What matters is that we went around it, and we'll go around it again. That's because our robots don't want to see individuality break down. They don't believe in that shit. And of course, sometimes we joke about many different topics, and I like to take some time, if I may, talk about something extremely important to my heart, to my insides. Some of you may have heard that there are now terms like the sex surrogates out there, and some people are like, what is it? What's a sex surrogate? Is that somebody who goes and has sex with other people for money? That's right. That is what a sex surrogate is. And you're like, well, that's just a whore, isn't it? That's just a good old fashioned whore, isn't it? Then, friend, nuh-uh. Get your ignorant ass out of your head. A sex surrogate is way different than a whore. All right? A beautiful whore takes money for sexual activities. A sex surrogate, I've learned, and I'm helping spread the news as well. A sex surrogate takes money for sexual experiences, but also it's more than just that. It's about connection, and that's the differentiating factor about prostitution and sex surrogates. Anybody can be a whore or a prostitute, and we all are to different varying degrees. But to be a sex surrogate is way different. It's way different. You have sex for money, but the connection you make with the people, although brief, heavy in depth, where they may lack in time, they make up for quality and a reasonably priced hour wage. You know what I'm talking about. So it's way more different than just this. So if you heard of it, it's way more different than just, I guess, where's John going? I guess he's going to go out and get a whore. No, he's not. John's going to get a sex surrogate. Way different. All right? Have the sex, exchange the monies. What you build there It's connection for a limited amount of time. It's a relationship, a transactional relationship on a limited time, but it's meant to build connections, and it does. And it's a beautiful loophole, and I like it. I didn't know about this, but I recently found out. I'm advocating that you go out there and engage as well. If you can, spread the word, let people know that sex surrogates are for realsies and legitimate, and there is no legalized sex work. And if anybody asks, they're not whores. All right, not that we love our whores, but there's two different. There's a distinction. You do not out there mistaken the two for being the same, because they're not different. There's a different. A prostitute might be on the street, all right, or not. Sex surrogate, all right, fine. They may also be on the streets, or not, all right. But there's again clear distinction between this. There's a lot of connection that makes it is that prostitutes only have sex with you for the money you pay them. There's lack of connection. There's no connection. Sex surrogates, tons of connection. In the time that you pay them for the sex, tons of connection. After the time is up, there's no more connection. If you want to connect, you'd have to pay again. You'd have to pay for the sex and the connection, but it's different. And again, I just don't want there to be any confusion and loosely people throwing around the word sex surrogate and be like, hey, you must be talking about a whore. We're not, all right? And they're both loved equally, but differently, and they are different, extremely different. That's what I learned. I hope to just be a little drop in the bucket, and we all ripple together in the sea of life. Until next time, may your pants be covered with jizz, until next time, may you have had adequate enough time to wash your pants if you had jizz on it. And ladies, may your fallopian tubes be filled with fallopian tube liquid, and may you gush when you get your period, or not. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer to gush so that I could say, may your period be good, like may you have a heavy flow, one big hefty flow, or tiny incremental flow? I don't know, whichever you prefer. If you prefer, ladies, to have one large flow for your period, well, then that's what I wish for you. If you prefer, incremental flows and like little, if you like to just spot for a couple of minutes and then stop, to spot and stop. If you like that, then I wish that for you. Until next time, may you spot and stop and stop and spot. Peace. Get out of here.